Put your right stem in. Put your right stem out.
Bala, come sit down
Put your
here.
left stem in
And you shake it all about. You do the stammy stammy and you turn yourself around.
That's what it's all about.
Welcome to Cut the Stem. Today we're gonna talk to some people who have a STEM background, and we're gonna talk about some stuff related to career
in STEM.
in STEM. Jang jang. Actually, they can do that in post, right? Do it now. That's right. Just giving them more work to do. And we have some guests today. All right, as usual. Well, not as usual. We've not been on some episodes, but my name is Matthew. This is Eric. And today, our special guest, who hopefully will be more of a recurring character, if the producers decide to upgrade him.
It depends on my performance for today.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Today is like the big test.
Sort of an audition. A live
Yeah.
audition.
If you think he sucks today, he's not coming back after this.
So leave it in the comments below.
Leave it in the comments below. But we've got Jeremiah,
Hey.
Abraham,
Hello.
Silverage. And Jeremiah is part of, can we say he's part of the Space Quest team?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is part of the Space
Yes,
Quest team.
it's part of the greater cyber armored family. Space Quest is one of them, and I contribute to Space Quest as well.
Ah,
as-
fantastic. I love it. So Jeremiah, can you just tell us about yourself, a little bit about your background? Where are you from?
Well, Jeremiah Abraham, yeah, that's my name. I'm a local boy from PJ, and I'm in my 40s this year, so you can gauge when I started going to school. It's probably in the 90s, primary school, secondary school in PJ, and then I got an opportunity to do my diploma in mechatronics engineering, which at that time was a fairly new subject in Malaysia. It was all about it's about robotics actually. So I did my diploma in Singapore, and then I worked in Singapore. Now, funny thing, how I got to Singapore was through a tuition fee grant. At that time, the Singapore government was already trying to drain all the brains from Malaysia by offering tuition fee exemption up to 85%. The catch was that you will have to work in Singapore after you graduate for
how
3
long?
years.
For 3 years.
You sort of have to pay the EPF there for 3 years, and then you are released from your bond.
Oh, wow.
So on top of that, they gave me a PR to facilitate my job application and all that.
Oh, okay.
So after spending I worked for more than 3 years, about 4 or 5 years in Singapore. Then I came back to Malaysia to do my degree in Monash University, also mechatronics engineering. And thereafter, whilst studying in the university, I found employment in the IT department. So I was studying robotics, and then I was working in IT part-time. And then once I graduated, they sort of absorbed me and made me a permanent staff in the IT department. That's how I grew into IT, desktop support, and now
Right.
I'm in cybersecurity.
And sorry, what was your degree in again? In
Mechatronics engineering.
mechatronics engineering. Okay. Explains so much about some of the things I've seen him do. So for those of you who don't know, our Eric over here, right? What did you study?
Shoot.
Ooh.
Yes.
I also went to Monash University, and I
alumni.
did a bachelor's in medical bioscience without honors, because I didn't want to do the extra 1 year.
Okay.
You weren't honest.
Huh?
You weren't honest.
Yeah, I went honors.
The honor was all his. Anyway, so both of you from the same university.
Hey, we're
Yeah.
alumni. Shout out to Monash.
Yes, this is not sponsored by Monash or endorsed in any way. But two very different kind of courses, right? One is more in the robotics, and you are kind of more in the bio.
So I guess if you say STEM,
Yeah.
he was the S in the STEM, and I was the T in the STEM.
And the E.
And the E.
And
Yeah.
And the M.
And both of you have the M a little bit.
A bit.
Yeah.
But don't test me on it.
He has more of the M.
Yeah, definitely
Maybe.
has more than M.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
No mathematics. There was more
Yeah.
mathematics in both IT and
I don't have a background in any of this. So
Technically, you took psych,
I took psychology.
and
It's
some would consider
questionably in the S.
in the S.
it should be
Questionably
a
in the-
science, right?
It is the.
Behavioral
Yeah.
science.
It is. There is a lot. It is a science. I would say it's a science. But it's not about me.
Oh.
It's about you guys. So I want to talk to you about like careers, right? So you guys study these things, and then obviously after you study it, you gotta go and have and go out and look for a job, right? So like if I could just like one of the things that I've noticed about a lot of parents and kids today is that there is still, despite being in 2024, there's still like a big pressure for lots of kids to join like the science stream. Right? We've talked about this before. So that like up to this point, we haven't really touched about careers. We've talked about the schooling and different aspects of all these things, and then so you're kind of pushed into science stream, and then you end up taking a more science-based subject. Not all, some people really loved it, but then when you start having to find a job, that's where it gets a lot less easier, right? Right. So in you guys' experience of sort of like having friends who studied with you and all of that, like when you just graduated and had to start finding something, and even though you just got immediately absorbed, was there ever also this thought like, oh, am I actually going to use the thing that I'm studying? And what were the experiences like post graduation?
Well, let me start. Well, for me, I have to rewind back all the way to like my primary school days. Actually, when you thought about this thought, whether or not I would be working in the field that I have studied, for me it was more of a passion that was, inoculated at a very young age. So the story was that my uncle back in the early 90s lah, I think I was in standard 2 or standard 3 at that time. So we stay in a what do you call a family, the what
Long house?
no not the long house.
He's
In a combined
from
family.
Tamantun, everybody.
In a combined
Yeah.
family. So my dad and his brother, so both families stayed in one house.
Okay.
Okay, it was a thing last time in the 90s.
Yeah.
So we stayed. So my uncle, now he was a sales manager. He was earning pretty well. So in the 90s, he bought our first computer. It was a 286 model desktop computer. It was like this really huge box with the huge monitor, the old school monitor where the back part is like a mile long, or something like that on the screen. So he bought that back, and I was so fascinated by this machine, and more importantly the games that I could play was like this 2D platform shooter thing, and I used to spend hours on it, to a point where I just wanted to open and see how this magic box made all these wonderful things happen on the screen. So I opened the computer, I destroyed the hard disk, and at that time he spent about more than like 2,000 plus bucks. I don't know, in this day and age it probably would have translated to about what with the inflation and all that, it cost about 7,000-8,000 or something like that. So I destroyed it, and I nearly lost my life. After that, when my parents found out what I've done, I went into the BIOS and edited some I don't know, I was just exploring lah. So I kind of like screwed up the computer, and then I was threatened with some kind of capital punishment lah. So which got me. After that, I just went and troubleshoot, like trial and error, try to get back the correct settings, and then the computer worked. And then it worked for another 4 years until I went to secondary school, and then we upgraded and a better computer. So at a very young age itself, I was very curious about computers. And that just naturally led me to, after my education in school, I wouldn't say, honestly, whatever I experienced in primary school and high school didn't help, water that plant, or that help push me towards science and technology. It was my own passion, because I actually got that computer in the house, and that made me more curious about it. So by the time I was going to graduate, I was going to go to finish my SPM and going to go into higher education. It just came naturally that I wanted to study computers or something related to, and it so happened that this opportunity in Singapore popped up, and my dad was like, it was a newspaper cutting, I think it was in the News Straits Time. My dad was at work, he got this, he cut out the paper, he cut out the advertisement, brought it back home, and told me to apply for it. And I applied, and the next thing I know, it was March 2001, and I was in Singapore, Nanyang Polytechnic, studying mechatronics. And I it never did cross my mind at that time. I think maybe because the job markets, there was jobs, manufacturing industry was coming up, so plants were opening up, and they had robotics and need for automation and robotics and all that. So I didn't think so much about am I going to work. It's like it just came naturally. Like, okay, I've got a degree, a mechatronics diploma. I'm sure that I'm going to get into that. However, my first job was in building and construction, which was more to civil and mechanical engineering. But it was still in the engineering field,
yeah.
so I felt okay about taking that job. And yeah, when I came back to Malaysia, it just felt natural lah, to actually go and look for a job. I interned as a student helper in the IT department first. And then when they found out that I already had a diploma and there was an opening for an IT executive, they wanted me lah to fill up the position. Maybe because they thought I was a good boy.
Right
lah.
fit for the job.
Right fit for the job lah.
Wow. Okay. Eric?
I think during primary school, I never really had an inkling of like what I wanted to be when I grew up. It was either the options were presented in front of me, doctor, engineer. What's the last one? Lawyer. Yeah. Yeah. But it didn't. I always thought I would be a teacher, but I kind of am a teacher now. But well, ironic full circle. But it wasn't like something I was set on. Other than that, was maybe just following what my parents did, like in their footsteps, to be like a flight steward, or something like that, which I could, but I didn't like the way that they always had to like tidy up their hair and everything. But I think I only realized that science came easy. Was that when I was in high school, and then naturally as I studied the STEM subjects in high school, I sort of like got it, except physics, but biochem came very easily for me. So it was a no-brainer that when I did my college foundation year, I did MAFI, so I took the science subjects, and it also came naturally easy for me. So it was then cut down to like, what did I want to study in university? And I guess the only option that I wanted to kind of like pursue was actually either medicine or a subset of that, which was biomedical science. Right. But the reason why I chose biomedical science instead of doing medicine was mainly because I had no patience for the duration of how long medicine takes.
Yeah.
And number two is, at the end of the day, I did not want to be responsible for another person's life, because misdiagnosis can happen. Or let's say if I went into like surgery to do surgery, then it's like that's a lot of responsibility, and the amount of pressure that will be placed on me, I don't think I could have handled it last.
Work hazard lah.
Yeah. So I took biomedical science, did the entire 3-year course. Then in the middle of the 3-year course, we had like to do the internship period, and I think the internship period part was a big eye opener, because I realized how naturally I could do the work. Like, it just came very easily. I understood everything, and the tasks seemed pretty simple, except for the analysis part. But doing the actual lab work seemed very simple, mainly because I understood it a lot. But the analysis part, it was what I could like match from what I studied in uni to the working world. Yeah. So it did show me that, oh, I'm actually doing what I studied, and it was very fulfilling lah. But the only reason why after I graduated I did not want to pursue it was because of certain aspects of the job that I fundamentally saw that in Malaysia did not bring out the best of my capabilities, which I guess we will talk about in a while, but that's the rough gist of it lah.
Okay. So I want to just like hinge on something you said just now. Right. By the way, both of your stories have two different vibes, right? So I love it so much. But something you said was like, you felt like once you kind of left, you finished and went to your internship, you kind of adapted really easily because you were able to directly apply what you learned straight into the lab. So was it the same for you, Jeremiah?
Yes. Whatever I learned was whatever I applied at my work. There's a direct correlation, and echoing what Eric said, a sense of satisfaction, that whatever blood, sweat, and tears poured into my degree and my diploma is then feeding me in dollars and cents at the end of the day when I get a
Yeah.
paycheck from the job that I
Right.
studied for.
And is this a very normal thing in the STEM, like in STEM based degrees, that there is a direct application to what you do? Because for a lot, like, so you all said that psychology is part of the STEM, right? But when you talk to a lot of us who graduated, like a lot of us don't use, like a lot of us have either left the field completely and do something else, completely, or like, there's not enough information in your degree to kind of help you, like go all the way in your job. But is it very different when it comes to like feels like you guys that are a little bit more technical based rather than theory based? Not that there's no theory, but there's a lot of, I think they teach you a lot of application, right, when in your degree.
Yeah, I get. I mean, maybe last time, before the age of IT and all that, okay lah, you're still siloed, But now that we are living in the information age, where even sciences, you need statistics, data, and all that, and this is all data, big data. And then you have now AI tools to help you,
Right.
make sense of all this data and present it, your findings, or things like that. So it's the same.
Okay. All right. So, one of the things that is always kind of told to like young people by older people is like going into any science-based thing, it pays really well, and that's sort of why you should go in there. There's a stability to it. How true is that? Let's start with you, since you've been working in
For a very,
for
very,
a very
long
long
time.
time.
Yeah, parents, like parents only want the best for you, lah.
Yeah.
So at that time, those traditional STEM jobs were the most stable ones. I doubt back in the 90s and all that. Because parents also, but my parents were traditional parents, so traditional Indian household. If you're not a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or accountant, you fail in life, kind of thing. But what the idea behind it is they want a stable, like make you employable.
They want you to be able to take care of yourself.
Basically,
Yeah.
that's all. And those jobs were the very sure fire jobs, sure jobs that paid you well enough for you to have a family after that, car, then you can support your children, your
Yeah.
family, and all that. So that was the main idea behind it, lah.
But is it true that they pay well?
I would say yes.
Okay,
Yeah, they pay well.
they do. Cool. All right, Eric.
Oh,
Especially in the field that you were in, what are some of the realities about pay that maybe you discovered during your internship?
okay. Maybe I can just explain a bit of what my degree pathway was like.
Okay.
Mainly for those who don't understand what a biomedical degree does. So I think there are three main directions you can go in. The first direction is you become like a lab technician or like a lab support, where basically it's called medical laboratory scientist or medical laboratory technician, so MLT or MLS. Alright, those the job scope of that is mainly you kind of like go into the labs, or some cases you go into hospitals, and in that lab area you kind of help with the lab analysis of certain bodily and fluids.
Yes.
Yeah, so like your blood, pee, feces, and so on. Yeah, and then you kind of then present those results to the doctor so that they can then diagnose the patient. Other than that, you can actually go into research. So if research is your thing and you kind of want to discover more about the world of science and kind of like help solve a lot of problems and so on, then research is the passion project for you with the degree. And then lastly, you can actually convert your medical bioscience degree to taking medicine if you decide halfway that actually I do want to enter the medical field, but as a doctor or a surgeon. because we have the same foundational subjects as those in medicine, it can be easily converted into that degree.
Right.
Yeah. But for me, I did my internship as a MLT. So I was a lab, kind of like an assistant like that, to help with certain
Testing of certain bodily fluids.
testing of certain bodily fluids, right? I worked in editor. You can bleep this, but for both of you, I worked in
Oh, wow.
yeah. So
Oh, that's great.
pretty lucky to have gotten that position. But there's a lot of like what you said, fake truths about it. Mainly because firstly, we talk about salary first lah. Salary, for me, I don't know why this is embedded into the Monash system, but I did an unpaid internship.
Did you?
Yes, because it was recommended by the lecturer to all the students to take an unpaid internship. Although I do know that some of my peers under the table took allowances, but for me specifically, the hospital did not permit that lah.
Oh.
So no form of payment or salary was given.
Okay.
But I did ask around when I was there, because eventually being an MLS or MLT was something that I thought that was my like career pathway lah after I graduated. So that was already like set in stone for me in my head. But after asking around and gauging what the salary is like, I think one of the new hires there said that for 1 year, it's 1.5K per month. Yeah. So
That's way below.
I think that's like bare minimum right now. But at that point in time, I didn't understood the entire salary
Scale.
tier,
Yeah.
the tier list of it. So I thought it was like, oh, it was pretty okay. No, I said in my head it was pretty
Because
okay.
when I graduated, which is probably like 2 or 3 years before you, it's like the standard that everybody was like, this is like the bare minimum you should get paid is 2.5.
Yeah, so I think that it kind of like goes to 2.5 if you are confirmed. So that one entire year you are getting 1.5. I think that's your probation year.
Oh, okay.
And then you get 2.5.
And this is at that place you mentioned.
Yeah, thank God you bleeped the name out.
Yeah, okay.
And then, but I've been asking around now, and I think it kind of went up to 3.2. There's a possibility to earn 3.2 in
that's good.
in that field, but not sure about how much you can grow in terms of your salary in this particular industry.
Okay. So is there an expectation after that you go and do your masters, and
There are some people that then pursue their masters, or some people immediately after the degree goes and pursues their masters. But ironically, I think just in Malaysia itself, this degree is highly undervalued, because if I were to go to Australia or to the States
Or Singapore.
or to Singapore, the pay is like double or like triple the current value here in Malaysia. And I think it's because
And you're not talking just about the exchange rate. It's just
it's not even just the exchange rate.
Just
It's
dollar to
the
dollar.
actual value of how much that those countries appreciate this degree, because of how much it can bring.
I won't say appreciate lah, just value.
Fine.
Appreciate puts some human emotion in it that might not be
Alright
there.
then.
Yeah.
It's all about the dollars and cents that the
So-
sector can bring into the
Yeah.
GDP.
So like
Exactly.
that was one of the factors that kind of like deterred me from doing like a career in that industry.
Right.
Another thing was the fact that working hours was kind of like a bit delusional, I would say. You work like a 9 to 5, like a normal standard time. That's everyone, corporate time, from Monday to Fridays.
Okay.
Then you kind of do like a half days on Saturdays.
Yeah.
But if you are on like a weekly schedule, there are some times that
You
you
have to
will
come in on
also
Sunday.
have to come in on Sunday. If there is no people coming in, so you will then be scheduled on a Sundays to work.
Okay.
Other than that, it's that randomized during one of those weeks, you get put on like, what do you call it again?
Graveyard, is it?
Graveyard shift. Yeah,
Oh,
you
midnights.
do a graveyard
I've
shift.
watched a lot of medical shows, guys.
Yeah, and it's like, Well, it's really tiring. Like you don't realize it at the beginning of your career, but I eventually like I noticed like with my colleagues there at the time how tiring it was, and some of them have families, and you also see like although you go home, you're already also working at home to provide for your family and taking care of your kids and so on, and it's just mentally exhausting. Yeah.
Okay, it's interesting. So, I have a friend who's like went to the same uni as you,
Oh.
and I think studied something very similar.
Hey.
And then, but her experience was completely different because the direction that she wanted to go was she wanted to be a lecturer. Yeah. So now she's like in Australia on a full scholarship, doing her PhD in the same field. Shout out to you, Mel. And shout out to you. Mel. So again, I think it depends like what is your end goal, right? And I think that from your story, what I'm thinking is like if you decide to study something like this, you should kind of know what
Understand,
your
yeah.
plan is like
Right.
towards like the
There should
yeah.
be two things. You need to know your end goal, one thing, so to know yourself.
Yeah.
And you also have the drive within you
Yes.
to carry you to your end goal. Because when as you progress in life, then you have family coming to the picture and all that.
Yeah.
And then you need money lah and all that. They might just
Yeah,
derail you to
exactly.
just jumping out of STEM and I think I better do sales as commission and
Yeah, exactly.
mean-
I have another friend who's doing his housemanship now as a doctor, and he's dying. And it's like really, really tough. And despite all the warnings you get, you actually don't know what it's like until you're in the field and actually doing it. How much time do we have left? All right, cool. All right. So I think that there are all of these things that. So I think that there are two very different perspectives. We are not telling people not to go into the
Yeah.
STEM field for sure, because I think there is a demand, and
there is actually a demand.
Yeah, there is
to
a
put a
big
number on
demand.
the demand.
Yeah.
STEM, I think the words of our own Prime Minister in May, he said something about we need 30,000 STEM
specifically in the areas of
lah.
yeah, okay,
30,000, man.
okay, that's a lot of jobs. Yeah,
We need about
Yeah.
30,000 people.
Yeah.
To
Is
fill
it
up.
is it just correlated to the number of vacancies that are available in Malaysia, or just generally we just need those numbers?
No, I think vacancies wise, we've got about 89,000. I just read the figure somewhere that there are 89,000 vacancies.
but again, that even they're all under the STEM blanket, but so different from what Eric studied, right?
Nah, yeah.
Yeah.
So are most of these jobs in the sort of like the tech based
I think it's more-
cybersecurity kind of sector,
It's
or is it more in like the bio kind
On
of?
on hold, it was the article that I read in the Malay Mail. It says that STEM on hold.
On a whole.
On hold.
Okay. So I think that there are opportunities out there. But I think that even if the opportunities are out there, but you are not the person that are like that has the drive to see it all the way through, then you have to plan these things out lah. I think. Yeah. It's what a negative way to end it.
No lah. I think like yes, you can pursue the degrees that you want to, and also just because you did your degree and like you're halfway through, you feel like you want to switch your minds, it's still completely fine. You are validated for that. Just that your parents will be pissed off at you lah, but you can survive with your parental problems on your own time.
Alright.
But think about it in the long run. If you feel like this is not the degree for you halfway, you are not wrong for switching your pathways. And it does help to go for many internships before you actually decide to actually pursue your degree. Like this young editor over here, after SPM after IG straight did an internship to kind of gauge the working industry. That is a very smart move to do, because then when you enter the degree itself, you can kind of like understand like, is this something that I can apply in the working world?
Right.
You know?
I did 2 internships while in Monash. I mean, you're only supposed to do one.
Yeah, you can tell us to us, but we'll bleep the names.
Well, I did an internship at. They were into engineering equipment, big waste heat recovery units.
Wow.
I think I was doing that for a project in New Caledonia, somewhere near Papua New Guinea. It was an ore smelting plant, and when they burn the ore, there's a lot of heat generated. So they want to use that heat to create power by heating up water, getting the steam into a steam turbine, and then using that to create electricity and then feed it back into the plant.
So
Ah,
like a
kind of thing.
renewable energy
Yeah,
type of thing.
that kind
wow.
of thing for this ore smelting plant. We worked on that project, and then my second internship was with Technip Geo Productions. It was a oil and gas contractor. It's a French company, but they did oil and gas projects in Malaysia. I got to work on also oil and gas equipment and stuff like that lah. So yeah, internships very
Yeah.
very good. Give you a
So,
gauge.
but I think I want to end like this. I want to say like there's a lot of people who want to get into STEM, but they are too worried about money. They're too worried about like the salary prospects, and because maybe there's a lot of studying that they have to do, and but they are very good at it, right? And there is a need for it, but I think like as a society we are very very materialistic driven. You gotta have all these checkpoints done. I think why is it that they should kind of still go for it full on, because there are needs and all of these things, right? What are some factors that you think they should really consider that I think may be more important than just, it's not like they're going to make no money, but are there certain fulfillments that are there just being in the field and being part of making the future happen?
Right. If you remember this story, I don't know. There's a story floating around where this ship was making noises and all that, and then they called this old engineer to come, and then he just went and just knocked a few places, and then found the exact problem, and then he rectified the problem, and then but he charged them like a ton of money, and then the shipping guys were like, why are you charging me so much? It's like it's my experience, a fresh grad wouldn't be able to definitely find out. So as you mature and grow in STEM and all that, you gain experience, and you definitely get paid for your experience. And that's one thing that would want to drive you to keep in STEM, because it's not a short game.
Yeah, it's a very long game.
as
Yeah.
well. And I feel like now in this generation, the young generation, we're into the fast game.
Instant gratification.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instant gratification. I want to be a YouTuber, and
Yeah.
I want to make things viral, and overnight earn $10,000 or things
I
like
agree.
that. So we've got to separate ourselves from this illusion and be rooted in reality. And reality is that yes, you have the experience, you get paid for your experience. That's what
Do you have
I
anything to add?
I guess to pick up on a point that you mentioned just now, like what if students are like really passionate on pursuing this STEM degree, but they don't have the financial support for it? I think there are a lot of like sponsorships that you can definitely get, but I think there's a bondage attached to it lah. There's definitely, it comes with a price, and if you really think that you can and you will continue to drive yourself in this degree and in your career, then go for these types
Yeah.
of bondages, because
Because a lot of people
yeah.
think that they paid for it, so I have to sit there and work for them. But actually, indirectly, yes, they do own you for a while, but you're getting a lot of experience out of it.
And it's like security as
yes,
yeah, exactly.
Who
You look at it at that point, because
Yeah.
you'll get the job security.
Yeah, there's so many people who are coming out of degrees like frantically looking for a job, and once you're done, you have a job there at least for 2 to 3 years already waiting for you. You should kind of see that as like okay, at least
It's a plus point.
Yeah,
It's a
that's something I don't have to worry about. Especially if a very prestigious company is willing to pay for your scholarship, then it also comes with a brand name that looks very good for you when you're kind of look after that. When you're looking for opportunities after that. Yeah. So I think as a to close, there's a lot of different perspectives on this. A lot of people have a very negative perspective because of the way I think that we spoke in previous episodes about the way it's framed in school. But the reality of working is very different, right? It is very difficult. It is a long game, but I think that it's very rewarding towards the end.
It is.
Based on what you wanna do lah. And I think when you're just picking your degree, just sit and have a think, and don't just sit and think by yourself. Go and talk to some people who are in the field, write some emails, go and apply for a few internships, email these 2 guys here at Space Quest if you have questions. I think I want to do this, I'm not sure, is it worth it? Maybe they have a nugget or 2 to help you, but don't do it alone now, right? I think that's really like the
Yes.
final point, right? So thank you for watching. This one ran a little long. All the best to the editor. Bye.